What's good, everybody? It's the Clown with Cab Show. NFL Week 7. Shout out to the Denver Broncos getting the dub against the New Orleans Saints on Thursday Night Football. I was all over Denver. Sean Payton, his former team, who he built, who he won a Super Bowl with Drew Brees. It just made sense to me to go Denver Broncos, and it was a blowout, 33-10. The over did hit. It was about 36.5. So if you went with the under, you would be pissed, because the Saints did score with like less than a minute to go in this game. So the over hit. It was just a good Thursday Night Football game for the Denver Broncos. And we're looking at the New Orleans Saints. They're playing like they want their coach to get fired. They're missing tackles. They're just not playing on all cylinders. They're not playing hungry. They don't have that fire. And it looks like the Saints are kind of giving up in a way ever since Derek Carr got hurt. So it's like, are they going to turn their season around? Who knows? But a huge win by rookie Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos. Pretty crazy, right? That they are 4-3 right now. They're above 500. They're 4-3. Looking at week 1, we realized, man, Denver's probably not going to make it this year. But right now, they're above 500. And if they continue to win games like this, the Denver Broncos and Sean Payton and company will get in the playoffs this year. Take off Denver. Let's go! And then we got the Miami Dolphins versus my Indianapolis Colts. The Colts are 3-point favorites. Look, Anthony Richardson is back. However, I do think they need to be cautious with Anthony Richardson. I really do. The way Joe Flacco's been playing the past 2 games, 7 touchdowns, 1 pick, it just makes sense to me to go Flacco right now. You know, have Anthony Richardson learn more things in the NFL by being backup from Joe Flacco. It just made more sense to me to go Flacco this game, but they didn't. The head coach is going Anthony Richardson. Jonathan Taylor is out yet again with the ankle injury. That's huge. I'm still going to go my Indianapolis Colts in this game. I think Tyreek Hill will score a touchdown. I think he's due. I just think the Colts defense need to lock in on Tyreek Hill. But overall, looking at the bigger picture, it's just like we need Jonathan Taylor back. 100%. If the Colts want to make the playoffs this year and make a playoff push, you have to have Jonathan Taylor. If you don't have Jonathan Taylor, it's pretty much wraps. The season's going to be over with, and the Colts are going to miss the playoffs yet again like they did last year. So I just think right now the Colts are 3-3. This is a must-win game from the Colts. Why do I say that? Because, well, they play the Houston Texans, Minnesota Vikings, and Buffalo Bills all next 3 weeks. Like, that's crazy. That's their toughest schedule right now. Then they play the Jets and the Lions after that. So it doesn't get any easier right now. So I think the Indianapolis Colts, they need to run right through Miami. They need to be above 500 before they hit their hardest part of their schedule, which is next week against the Texans and then Minnesota. So, like, they need to get locked in right now. I'm going to go Colts. I like Tyreek anytime touchdown in this matchup. That's what I love, absolutely. And then, the over-under is 43.5. I like the under, really. I think it's going to be relatively low scoring in the first half. That's why I'm going with the under. But I love my Indianapolis Colts to get the dub in Indy at home. It gets the trash. No Tua right now. This is the time for the Colts to take off here. No excuses whatsoever. Take off Colts right now. And then we got the London games, the New England Patriots versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jacksonville Jaguars been in London for 2 weeks now. I'm going to go Jacksonville. Jacksonville's 1-5. Same thing with the Patriots. Jacksonville 6-point favorites. Look, if you don't like that spread, go money line, but I'm going to take that spread. I'm going to take Jacksonville. Why am I taking Jacksonville here? Is because they have a little bit more upside than the trash New England Patriots right now. In Jacksonville, they're going to have to start winning right now, because if they don't, they're going to miss the playoffs. So right now is the time for Jacksonville to start winning games. They win this game. Doesn't get any easier. They play Green Bay, they play Philly, they play Minnesota, they play the Lions, and then they play the Houston Texans. So, for Jacksonville, it's like, wow, you guys have won 1 game all year. How is Doug Peterson still their head coach? I don't know. It's crazy. It's just insane how the NFL works. But I'm looking at the Jacksonville Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence and saying, hey, let's lock in here. This is time to go. What's the holdup? Ever since Trevor Lawrence got to Jacksonville, there were so many high expectations, yet they're just coming up short every single time. I don't know what it is. It's just Jacksonville, they got to win. I'm going to go Jacksonville 6 points, take off Trevor Lawrence. And then we got the Tennessee Titans versus the Buffalo Bills. The Bills are 8.5-point favorites. I'm going to go Buffalo here. I think Josh Allen, ever since they got Amari Cooper this week, that is huge news. I think Amari Cooper added with Josh Allen is just it's almost as good as Diggs. Not quite as good as Stephon Diggs, but it's almost as good. Amari Cooper, we could arguably say he's a better route runner than Stephon Diggs. That's about it. I would take Stephon Diggs over Amari Cooper all day of the week as a receiver. But overall, maybe a teammate, I think Amari Cooper might be better. He might be a better teammate than Stephon Diggs. Maybe less selfish. I don't know. But Josh Allen this year, 10 touchdowns. It's time to get locked in. You got Shakir. You got James Cook back. I think this is the time where Buffalo takes off and runs right through Tennessee. Tennessee's got who? Will Levis. He's trash. Complete garbage. But I love Buffalo. In Buffalo, any given Sunday, upsets do happen. Could this be an upset alert game? I don't think so. I think this is one of my really confident picks all weekend. It's the Buffalo Bills at home against the Tennessee Titans. You got Amari Cooper coming in. Your team's getting healthier right now. The Bills are 4-2. They're about to be 5-2 on the outside looking in. In the Bills, they're going to tell you right now with Josh Allen that they want a first-round bye in the playoffs. They're not going to say, we want the 2 or 3 seed. No, they want the number 1 seed. They want home field advantage throughout the playoffs. I think they had that a couple years ago, but they lost to the Kansas City Chiefs or Cincinnati Bengals. So it's just for Josh Allen, he needs to continue to grow, continue to get better, and the Buffalo Bills will be back in playoff contention. However, are they going to get over the playoff hump? Is Josh Allen going to get over that? Is Josh Allen going to be able to beat, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs? That's a huge unknown right now. We don't know, so you never know. But adding Amari Cooper is huge to the Buffalo Bills. Shout out to the Buffalo Bills. I'll take the 8.5. I'll take the over too. 40.5 is the over-under. I'll go with the over as well. Take off Buffalo Bills. Take off Josh Allen. Let's go! And then we got the Houston Texans versus the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay's 2.5-point favorites here. This is literally a 50-50 type of game. It could go either way. I think it's really going to boil down to who's going to stop the run. Are they going to stop Josh Jacobs? Is the Houston Texans going to stop Josh Jacobs? Are the Houston Texans going to put pressure on Jordan Love to force him to throw bad throws and interceptions? That's another key. But however, I do think C.J. Stroud without Nico Collins is a huge loss. So I'm going to go Green Bay here. I'm not really confident in it. I'm not going to bet on this game. But if I were to bet, I'm going to go Green Bay slightly. They're at home. They're playing slightly better football because of Jordan Love, how locked in he is. And with Nico Collins out. So with Nico Collins out right now still, I think I'm going to go the Green Bay Packers. However, if Nico Collins was in the lineup, I would go Houston Texans. That's how close this game could be. This game could arguably be an overtime game as well. So, I wouldn't be mad if you bet on the overtime game in this game right now, but the over-under is 48.5. They're expecting this to be a high-scoring game. I don't know. This game is just one of the unknown games to me where it's just it's hard to touch right now. It really is. You can maybe a touchdown score like Joe Mixon. I love that bet. Do I love, do I love other bets as well? Do I love Josh Jacobs anytime touchdown? No, I don't. I bet on Josh Jacobs a couple weeks in a row and missed because he has not gotten in the red zone, because he hasn't gotten in the touchdown. He's got 1 touchdown all year this year. Josh Jacobs, from Alabama, he's got 1 touchdown all year. That's crazy to me. Joe Mixon has more touchdowns than him with less games. To make it make sense. So I like Joe Mixon anytime touchdown. If I'm touching this game, slightly hedged Green Bay Packers right now. Take off Jordan Love. Let's go. And then we got the Philadelphia Eagles versus the New York Giants. Philly's 3-point favorites. Look, I'm going Philly here. Saquon's going against his former team who released him over this offseason. I like Saquon anytime touchdown. I like Saquon over 100-plus yards. Receiving or rushing all together. I love him to go all-purpose yards over 100. I do. I think Saquon eats against his former team. I think there's elements to this. It's not the same, but it's kind of like Sean Payton going into New Orleans on Thursday Night Football. Kind of similar scenario where Saquon knows the New York Giants system. He knows the players on there. Literally it's probably friends with them. So, now you're competing against them. It's going to make it so much more competitive. And I think Saquon eats this game. I really do. I love Saquon. The over-under is 42.5. I probably like the over as well. I think Jalen Hurts is going to get back in the groove, even though he's got 4 picks this year. I love Saquon Barkley, and I think Jalen Hurts is going to finally take off here. Daniel Jones is playing decently okay. 6 touchdowns, 4 picks. Neighbors should be back in the lineup this weekend, but I still like Philly. Philly needs to handle business. They need to get locked in and get this dub, dude. Saquon, I want Saquon to get locked in and be ready and get in that zone. So I'm going Philadelphia Eagles all day in this matchup. Saquon anytime touchdown. In the over-under, I don't want to even touch, but I like the over right now. So I like Philly over the trash New York Giants. And then we got the best game all weekend, the Detroit Lions versus the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings are 5-0, 1.5-point favorites right now. And it makes sense. I mean, Justin Jefferson's locked in. Sam Darnold's locked in. I mean, they got a great defense. However, I do think the Detroit Lions just have a little more ammo in their gun. I really do. I think they got more ammo in the clip. I just think Gibbs, David Montgomery, Sam Laporta, St. Brown. I mean, they could do it all offensively, and they're defensively sound as well. Even though they lost Aiden Hutchinson, I think they're going to make some moves to get another DN this year. So at some point, Dan Campbell's locked in. Let me go Detroit Lions. If I had a gun to my head and they said Detroit Lions or Minnesota, I'm going Detroit Lions. Why? I think it's a better head coach than Dan Campbell, and I think they have more weapons offensively and defensively on both sides of the field. So that's why, ultimately, why I like the Detroit Lions. I think Gibbs. I think, Jameson Williams, another X-Factor type of player who could literally miss one tackle and take it 80 yards for a touchdown. I mean, he had 3 touchdowns this year. So I think Jameson Williams is going to get locked in. I love Detroit. This is kind of like a rivalry game in division. I still like the Detroit Lions here. This is going to be a nail-biter. This could arguably be an overtime game, really close game by a field goal margin. But I just think Detroit right now, if they're playing their A game, I think they win. We saw last week they ran right through the Dallas Cowboys, and that was a statement win. That was saying, hey, we are the real deal. We're not playing around this year. We should have made it to the Super Bowl last year off a couple plays that were missed. We had a receiver drop a 4th down play. Like, Dan Campbell can't control some of these things. So I think overall, Detroit Lions are legit. They are the real deal. And they're a team that could arguably win the Super Bowl this year. They have the talent to do it. But it starts with Jared Goff. If Jared Goff is locked in, tuned in, I think they can get it done. Take off Detroit Lions. I like them over the undefeated Minnesota Vikings. Let's go! And then we got the Seattle Seahawks versus the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons are 3-point favorites in this matchup. And honestly, I like Atlanta right now. What I saw from Seattle last week was kind of just like, man, just really mediocre, just kind of going through the motions. Geno Smith throwing interceptions. It just wasn't the same. And Kirk Cousins got 9 touchdowns and 5 picks this year. I think Robinson is due for a bigger game than what he's had all year this year. So I think that. And then Drake London has 4 touchdowns this year. He's snapping off. DK Metcalf, 2 touchdowns. Kenneth Walker, 5 touchdowns. I mean, this game's going to be really close. It's going to be a nail-biter. I could see Seattle being up most of the game, and then, Atlanta storming back and winning by a Young Hoku field goal. Something like that. So I like Atlanta here. In Atlanta, in the Dome. It just makes sense to me. Seattle's just kind of been really inconsistent this year. It's crazy. Seattle's 3-3. I think Seattle should be 4-2 right now. But they're 3-3. Geno Smith needs to turn it around. But I like Atlanta in Atlanta. And 51.5 is the over-under. I mean, dude, I'd probably go with the under. That is high to me. Seattle doesn't typically score a lot of points like that, even though Atlanta has in the past. But, give me the under right now. It might hit it like right at 50, which would hit the under. But I like the under in the Atlanta game. I'll take Atlanta Falcons all day in this matchup. And I like Kenneth Walker or Bijan to get in. You could do both touchdown scores for both running backs. That's not a bad bet either. I like that. But I like Atlanta over the Seattle Seahawks. And then we got the Cincinnati Bengals versus the Cleveland Browns. Cincinnati's 5.5-point favorites. This is another game I'm really confident in. I'm going Cincinnati. I'm going Joe Burrow. Right now, they're 2-4. They can literally turn their season around right now. They can get back into the winning column here. Get over 500. And I think that starts with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. Those two got to be on the same page. If they want to run deep this year and make this midseason push into the playoffs this year, this is where it starts right now. You're playing the Cleveland Browns, who are banged up, who Deshaun Watson does not look like an NFL quarterback whatsoever. So it's just like, man, come on, bro, you got to turn it around. So, if Cincinnati handles business this weekend, which I do think they will, they play Philly next weekend, they play Baltimore in a couple weeks, and Steelers in about a month. So it doesn't get any easier. But right now, the Cincinnati Bengals need to win. They need to win against the trash Cleveland Browns, and I'm going all in on Cincinnati to win this game. You got Chase Brown running really nice, just clicking on all cylinders. Cincinnati defense is getting better week by week. To whereas we look at, Cleveland Browns, Nick Chubb should be back in this lineup. He might get some clock. I don't know, 100%. We'll see come game time. But Nick Chubb is a huge value. This game's going to be really interesting if Nick Chubb does start and get the nod here. I'm kind of like, oh, shoot, like Nick Chubb could go off for 2 touchdowns over 150 yards rushing. However, I still like Cincinnati here. I think Joe Burrow and company's locked in. They need to start winning games. They're 2-4 right now. There's no way in heck that the Cincinnati Bengals should be 2-4. Like, that's crazy to me, dude. Like, Joe Burrow, Cincinnati needs to turn around. I like the Bengals all day in this matchup. 41.5 is the over-under. Give me the over. Give me the over. Cincinnati can put up some big points. Give me the over the trash Cleveland Browns. And then we got the Carolina Panthers versus the Washington Commanders. Commanders are 9.5-point favorites. This is a game where I don't like that spread whatsoever. I think Carolina could get this game closer than what's expected. I like money line Commanders, though. The way Jaden Daniels has been playing, they're 4-2 right now. He's got 6 touchdowns, 2 picks, over 1,400 yards passing. Then you got Brian Robinson Jr. back. He's got 5 tutties this year. Terry McLaurin, Indiana boy, he's got 4 touchdowns this year. I like Washington, even though, Andy Dalton isn't a bad quarterback. He's all right. But I just think the bigger picture, man, I'm going Washington Commanders here. Nothing's going to change me to go Carolina. I like Washington at home. What I've seen from Jaden Daniels, the rookie quarterback who got drafted 2nd overall, who should have got drafted 1st. I mean, dude, I'm telling you, he's locked in. He's the guy that's probably going to win Rookie of the Year this year. 100%. Shout out to Jaden Daniels. Shout out to Washington Commanders. I like them all day in this matchup. 51.5 is the over-under. I'll probably lean more with the under as well in that matchup. And then we got the Las Vegas Raiders versus the LA Rams. The Rams are 7-point favorites in this matchup, which is very interesting. This is an ugly game. I can see it going either way. The Raiders are 2-4. They're not as good as they once were. Obviously, losing their star receiver who goes to his boy, the New York Jets, with Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. Huge, right? That is huge, but I'm just looking at it right now. Cooper Kupp is questionable. It looks like he's coming back from the ankle injury, so that's huge. Give me the Rams at home. If Cooper Kupp's going to play, Kyren Williams is locked in. Let me go Rams over the Las Vegas Raiders. I mean, Raiders, just inconsistent. They're 2-4 right now. They're trying to find their identity. They're trying to find who they are as a team. With Devontae Adams leaving, going to New York Jets, that's a huge loss for them. Even though I do think they're still going to be good. But let me get LA Rams. With Cooper Kupp back in the lineup, let me go Rams. 43.5 is the over-under. I don't know on that, but let me get Cooper Kupp on yards in this game. I love it. Let me go over 50 yards, receiving yards in this game. I think Cooper Kupp eats, man. Shout out to the LA Rams. They're going to get the job done this weekend on that 4 o'clock slate. Then we got the Super Bowl rematch, the Kansas City Chiefs versus the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers are 2-point favorites. I mean, to me, this is another 50-50 game. 4 o'clock slate on the East Coast. I love these 4 o'clock slate games. I think this is another key game that's arguably the top 3 games this weekend is definitely a rematch. I mean, we got Patrick Mahomes. We got Travis Kelce. We got Brock Purdy. Even though, CMC is out still, we still got Debo in the lineup. We got George Kittle. It's gonna be an awesome matchup. Honestly, I do not know who's gonna win this game. It really depends on Patrick Mahomes and Brock Purdy and their offensive lines. How are they gonna protect their quarterbacks? If their defense is getting pressure on them, forcing them to do bad throws, I could see this hitting the under. 46.5 is the over-under. So if it's going to be a defensive type of game, which I could see it being, go with the under in this matchup. I understand you got Mahomes and Brock Purdy, high-powered offenses. I get all that, but right now I could see it being a defensive type of battle in this game. A rematch, Super Bowl, they're all amped up. We could literally see this same game in the Super Bowl this coming year. Like, that's crazy, right? We can see it this Super Bowl coming up, so you just never know. But, I'll slightly say San Francisco just because it's at home. San Francisco's 3-3. Kansas City's 5-0. So I would slightly lean 49ers, but I don't want to throw any bread on it because it's just so hard right now. It's literally a 50-50 type of game. So I'll slightly go San Fran. If you want to go 2+ touchdowns passing, I like Mahomes to do it. I think this is a game where Mahomes has to show out. He understands, without Pacheco, without Rice, this is the game where Patrick Mahomes needs to ball out here. We haven't really seen a lot of ball out moments this year for Patrick Mahomes, and this is the type of game where he could show out a rematch in the Super Bowl. But I like 49ers slightly in this matchup. I can't wait. Let's go! And then we got the Sunday Night Football game, the New York Jets versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers are underdogs right now. The Jets are 2-point favorites, which surprises me. What I've heard for the Steelers is they're going to start Russell Wilson. Like, I don't understand that whatsoever. I don't know if that was Mike Tomlin's decision or the offensive coordinator's decision. But right now, Justin Fields has over 1,100 yards passing, 5 touchdowns, 1 pick, and the team is 4-2. So it doesn't make sense to me to bench Justin Fields. Like, that is crazy to me, bro. Like, I don't know what else to say about that. Like, that is insane. Like, why would you bench him? You guys are 4-2 right now with a really subpar type of team. Like, that's crazy, dude. And you're going to start Russell Wilson? What we saw last year in Denver was a collapse? Like, that is crazy, bro. Like, let me go Jets here. Jets add Devontae Adams, in company. Jets are 2-4 right now. They need to turn their season around. The Jets, man, I mean, they play the Patriots next weekend. They play the Texans, Cardinals, Colts. So, I mean, they don't have the hardest schedule. But right now, man, the Jets need to start winning games. And this is the game to win. Why am I picking the Jets? Ultimately, because Russell Wilson is starting for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like, really? You're going to start Russell Wilson right now the way Justin Fields is playing? I don't get it, man. Let me go New York Jets. Let me go Aaron Rodgers, 2+ touchdowns. Aaron Rodgers still has Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, and his boy Devontae Adams from the Las Vegas Raiders, who they had a great relationship in Green Bay with. So many touchdown passes and receptions between Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. So let me go Jets here. Jets at new coach, new system. They lost in a fluky game against the Buffalo Bills, which they should have won. But overall, right now, the Jets, let me go Jets over the Pittsburgh Steelers, man. It just doesn't make sense to me to start Russell Wilson, dude. Like, come on. New York Jets over the Pittsburgh Steelers in a tough matchup. I can't wait for Sunday Night Football. Let's go. And then we got 2 Monday Night Football games. The first Monday Night Football game, the Baltimore Ravens versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is very interesting. I mean, Baltimore's 3.5-point favorites. The way Tampa and Baltimore have been playing, dude, they're both 4-2. I'm telling you, dude, this is going to be a hard game. I mean, slightly right now, I'll say Baltimore because they have a better defense and just a slightly better run game. Even though the run game is great for Tampa, I mean, Baker Mayfield has been locked in this year. Over 1,400 yards passing, 15 touchdowns, 5 picks. Bucky Irvin, 2 touchdowns. Chris Godwin, 5 touchdowns. Mike Evans been going crazy. Then you got Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry over 700 yards rushing and 8 touchdowns. Lamar Jackson, 10 touchdowns passes, 2 interceptions. So this game's going to be a really, really tight game. 49.5 is the over-under. I don't know about that, but, the Ravens are 3.5-point favorites. Let me go Baltimore right now. I think what I've seen from Baltimore right now, they're the team that who they thought they were. Start of the season was a little shaky, 0-2. But right now, with 4 straight wins for the Baltimore Ravens and how Lamar and Derrick Henry are locked in that defense, I'm going slightly Baltimore. Even though this game could change, come game time. But let me get Baltimore over Tampa. Even though Tampa's been eaten all year, I think Baltimore's defense is going to put pressure on Baker. And I like Baker to throw a pick this game. Baker puts up a lot of throws. So let me go Baker anytime pick. That's one of my lock picks in this game. Baker anytime interception. So let me go Baltimore on Monday Night Football when the brightest lights are on. Let me go in a close game, but let me go 3.5. I'll take it. I think Baltimore wins by 7+ this game with Derrick Henry and company. Take off Baltimore. Let's go! And then we got the last game all weekend, the LA Chargers versus the Arizona Cardinals. The LA Chargers are 2-point favorites. This is another coin flip type of game. Arizona's been very inconsistent. They're 2-4. Colin Murray, 8 touchdowns, 2 picks. James Conner's got 3 touchdowns. Dobbins got 3 touchdowns for the Chargers. Justin Herbert, 6 touchdowns, 1 pick. I mean, this game could go either way. I think really who's going to win this game is the team that's going to get the right calls. Pass interference that really wasn't a pass interference, a holding call in a crucial situation. That's how this game is going to come down to. But right now, I'm slightly leaning Chargers just because they're the better team, better defensive team right now. Overall, they have a better defense, so that's why I'm going to go Chargers. 43.5 is the over-under. I don't know on that, but let me go Chargers over the Arizona Cardinals in a tough matchup. But what a weekend for Week 7 for the NFL. Some hard games. A rematch from the Super Bowl, Kansas City 49ers. I can't wait for that matchup. And then we got the best matchup, the Detroit Lions going to Minnesota. I'm telling you right now, no cap. The Detroit Lions are going to run right through Minnesota. It's NFL. It's the Cloud with Cap Show. Let's go!